The Coyote Twin, Vermilion's downtown theater. Providing entertainment Thursdays through Sundays.
Coming up, students enjoy the annual CAB concert.
And the Student Government Association voices concerns over mental health resources.
Live from the Al Newharth Media Center, this is Coyote News.
The time now is 5 o'clock. I'm Michael Stake.
And I'm Landon DeBoer. Law students may not have to take the bar exam if state lawmakers have their way. But first, students rang in the new semester with the annual Campus Activities Board's concert. They also shared videos with Coyote News. The headliner was California rapper 24K Golden, who performed his most popular songs, including Valentino and Mood, as well as his new releases from his recent album. Students also heard music from Lila's Rose, whose members are local students of the Beta Theta Pi fraternity. After the concert, the rapper took photos with students. CAB has yet to announce plans for their next concert.
The Vermilion Police Department is investigating a Saturday afternoon car crash at the intersection of Cherry and Dakota Streets. After arriving at the scene, officers attempted to arrest one of the drivers for driving under the influence. The driver resisted, pulled out a gun, and shot himself. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. If you or someone you know is struggling with their mental health, the Student Counseling Center offers same-day appointments. The link to sign up is on the MyU portal. If a mental health emergency arises, dial 988. In a USD Government Student Association survey, over 30,000 students across South Dakota colleges voiced their concerns on mental health resources. SGA President Caleb Weiland discussed House Bill 1044 and 1079 last week with lawmakers. They provide students with scholarships and resources regarding mental health.
These legislators don't always hear from students. They don't always hear our perspective. They have one or two voices, and we really need to amplify them. We really need to apply some pressure and say, listen, this is a serious issue.
As he wants to create a proactive system to help lessen mental health crises on campus, but he says it's going to take all hands on deck.
State lawmakers are taking aim at drag shows, following a performance last semester at South Dakota State University. House Bill 1116 was filed yesterday, and if passed, would prevent state institutions like the Board of Regents or public school districts from using public funds or state-owned facilities to host, promote, or fund any lewd or lascivious content. The performance at SDSU was not supported by public funds, but it was held on campus. In response to the December backlash over the performance, the BOR issued a moratorium preventing minors from attending events hosted by student organizations. Coyote News will continue to monitor the bill's progress and how it potentially will affect students. South Dakota Law School students may not be required to pass the state bar exam. That's a proposed measure before State House lawmakers. Supreme Court Chief Justice Steve Jensen has given his support of the bar exam, noting its rigor for testing competence. Jensen made the comments after Representative Mary Fitzgerald made plans to reintroduce a bill that would award USD Law School graduates a license without needing to take the exam. The measure is intended to help alleviate a shortage of lawyers in the state. Coyote News' Carter Linke is live in the muck to hear how Knudsen Law is responding to the bar exam debate.
Thank you, Landon. I'm in the muck with Dean Neil Fulton of USD's Law School. Dean Fulton, are you concerned about this bill passing?
You know, I think the Chief Justice announced a task force this year to look at bar exam and admission holistically. I don't think that bill will pass this year, but I do think there's going to be a conversation over the next year about how we guarantee minimum competence for our lawyers and get students into practice.
And if passed, how might this change the university's law school's curriculum?
This bill itself wouldn't change our curriculum, but it would change some of the decisions we'd make about how we place people, since it requires students to be placed with someone for 1,000 hours to obtain admission under supervision with another lawyer. So we'd really look slightly differently at how we place people, not how we educate people.
And how might this measure affect how the university is able to recruit new law students?
You know, I think if there are alternative pathways other than the bar exam that accelerate people's getting to practice, it may be an advantage for us for recruiting. We've brought in more than half of our students from out of state the last couple of years because they see a small community and a really high value degree. If an accelerated path to admission is something that's out there, that might be a good thing for us too, but it needs a little bit more study and thought.
And finally, what are some other things that lawmakers aren't considering?
You know, I think about this bill, it's really the role of the Board of Bar Examiners that assesses minimum competence and the role of the South Dakota Supreme Court in determining that. They weren't consulted on this bill. Their role in that process isn't defined. I think that's something that needs to be thought about, and really the fact that the Supreme Court sets the rules for admission and the legislature should defer to the court.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining me today, Dr. Fulton. I'm Carter Linke, live from the Muck for Coyote News.
Thanks, Carter. The measure must pass through all three branches of government before it becomes law.
Coming up, students have a slippery start to the semester. Plus, artists show off their work at an annual student exhibition.
In a world where embracing your identity is a privilege not usually given to the members of the LGBTQIA+ community,
the University of South Dakota Spectrum provides community and education for young queer scholars.
sexuality and identity are defined on spectrums.
And having a community of open-minded, inclusive peers provides safety. Spectrum is one reason all Coyotes can call the University of South Dakota their home.
This is Coyote News.
Snow removal crews have had a difficult time keeping up with the unusual amount of snowfall this year. The City of Vermilion has snow removal procedures and policies on their website. Snow removal is done in the order of emergency routes, then residential areas, followed by steep grades and hills. When snow falls in the forecast, vehicles need to be moved off the streets, marked as emergency snow routes. Students that live off campus might need to get ice melt and a shovel, depending on their living situation. Colder temperatures are predicted for this upcoming weekend, with snow in the forecast on Saturday.
A USD fraternity had a rocky start to the semester. Coyote News' Callie Connors shares more details about what led to their temporary living situation.
During winter break, Phi Delta Theta was informed that their house was flooding.
We had some pipes in the house over winter that when it got down to, -30, -40, the water got stuck in the pipes and then one of them burst, causing there to be flooding and whatnot. And luckily, we kind of got it handled fairly quickly.
Ceiling tiles, toilets, and parts of the floor were damaged, but no personal or irreplaceable items were affected. The repairs began after Christmas and were completed by the end of the first week of school. During that week, the fraternity members needed alternative living arrangements.
They had the vacant Richardson 2 was newly renovated, so nobody had lived there yet. So they let us sit in there for a week while we were getting everything sorted out.
The members had the whole floor to themselves, and housing allowed them to stay until January 20th. Had Richardson not been available, the fraternity had plans to either stay in a hotel, find another hall on campus, or stay at another fraternity's house. The incident pushed the members to be more prepared for future situations and even prevent them if possible.
We installed separate water shutoffs for each floor so that if something like this does happen again, we don't have to shut off second floor bathroom, and then third and first would be good, just to avoid having to live somewhere else temporarily.
With the repairs came renovations, as the fraternity was able to get updated shower heads and install a new water fountain. Koski and Johnson are thankful to USD Housing, the crew that worked on their house, and everyone in the chapter that stepped up when needed. For Coyote News, I'm Callie Connors.
The fraternity members are officially back in their house following the repairs. Art students displayed their work in the 37th annual Stillwell exhibition reception on Friday. The Stillwell Student Awards exhibition was held in the John A. Day Gallery in the Fine Arts Building. The exhibit recognizes the works of art department students displaying their selected works for the public. The reception ended with an award ceremony where the top 3 selected winners won a cash prize ranging from $100 to $500. The exhibit is named after Wilbur Stillwell, who was a former chair and professor of art. His wife Gladys and the Stillwell family continue to provide support for the show. The Stillwell Gallery will remain open for public viewing until mid-February.
A former Wynot, Nebraska teacher pled guilty in a Sioux City court for the attempted enticement of a minor. 39-year-old Andrew John Heller was arrested in July in Sioux City by the FBI and city police after conducting an undercover investigation. Heller contacted an undercover phone number and spoke with an FBI agent posing as a 14-year-old girl. Heller offered the girl $200 in exchange for sexual services. When he showed up, he was searched by police, who found the money along with condoms. Heller has since resigned his teaching position. A sentencing date hasn't been set yet, but if found guilty, Heller will face a minimum prison sentence of 10 years.
Next on Coyote Sports, the cheer team places toward the top of a national competition.
And a look into USD Athletics' response to medical emergencies.
This is Coyote News.
The football team hires a former jackrabbit to their coaching staff.
And the cheer team finishes on the podium at Nationals. This is Coyote Sports. I'm Sydney Colin.
And I'm Callie Connors. Following the Damar Hamlin situation in which the NFL player was administered CPR on the field, you might wonder who's behind USD Athletics' response in a medical emergency. Coyote News' Landon DeBoer has the details.
In the maze of hallways in the Sanford Coyote Sports Center, you can find athletic trainers like Colby Keegan hard at work in the training room. From addressing day-to-day injuries to being a first responder at athletic events, Keegan spends most of his time around athletes.
Every day I have some of them for rehab, some of them for stuff, but I'll be at every single practice. I travel with the team. We spend 4 to 6 hours with these people every day.
Although not an everyday event, Keegan says he and the training staff are ready to respond to medical emergencies.
It's not something we do every day. We work in a very healthy, athletic population, but you always have to be ready for the worst case scenario.
While college and professional athletes have someone protecting their safety, in most instances, everyday people don't have this luxury. Keegan says there's one easy way to change this. Get CPR certified.
If you're able to do it, do it. it's just something that could help save a life. And you never know when it's going to happen, so knowing what to do when a situation like that arises is important. And the more people who are CPR certified, the better chance anyone who has a sudden cardiac event can be saved.
For Coyote News, I'm Landon DeBoer.
Students will have the chance to get CPR, AED, and first aid certified through the classes at the Wellness Center beginning in February.
The USD cheer and dance team finished third place in a national competition last week. They competed in 3 different competitions, making the finals in 2 of them. Their highest placement was that third place finish in the Open Spirit Game Day competition. Coyote News' Carly Phillips is live in the muck with one of the team members to hear about their experience. Carly?
Thanks, Sydney. I'm here with Maddie Mond, captain of the USD cheer team. Maddie, now following up with your third place finish at Nationals, did the team expect to finish this high in the competition?
I think we always go in with high hopes, and our teams performed really well. They hit their routines, executed it really nicely, and they were all really happy with the placement for sure.
And now, knowing that you guys can go in and compete at a high of level that you guys did, what are you guys' goals for next year?
I think next year our goals are to prepare early and go in with some more confidence now that we have placed higher, and just represent the University of South Dakota on a national level.
And with any athletic activity, injuries are always possible to happen. When injuries come about on your guys' team, what does that look like, and how do you guys navigate those?
So we always have people who can do multiple different things, and so if someone does get injured, there's always someone else that can come in and do their job while that person is healing and recovering. But it's mainly just making sure that everyone's on the same page so we can always perform at that high level.
Now, Maddie, for you personally, what does it mean when you get to put on that USD uniform and represent South Dakota, doing something that you love and you're so passionate about? What does that mean for you?
Oh, it means everything. I've been doing this since freshman year, and so it just means representing something bigger than myself. It means representing the state and this university and everything that surrounds that.
What's next on the agenda for you guys?
We're going to finish out with basketball. We're at every home game, men's and women's basketball, and then we'll travel with them for the Summit League tournament and on.
Maddie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
If you didn't get to see the Yotes compete at Nationals, don't worry. You can catch them live in action tomorrow night at the women's basketball game at the SCSC at 7 p.m. Live in the muck for Coyote Sports, I'm Carly Phillips.
The competition was held in Orlando.
The men's basketball team hit the road to face off against Western Illinois tomorrow night. They won once and lost once over the past week. In Saturday's game, they played the Omaha Mavericks. The Coyotes were led by Cruz Perrohunt, who tallied 22 points on the evening. AJ Plitzawhite put up 19 points and a team-high 4 assists on the game. USD took this one 84-68. Earlier in the week, they hosted the Denver Pioneers. Mason Archambault led the Coyotes in scoring with 14 points. Plitzawhite added 13, but it wasn't enough. The Coyotes dropped this one 75-60. Tomorrow's game will tip off at 6 in Macomb, Illinois.
The women's basketball team will host Western Illinois tomorrow night. They laid claim to 2 Summit League victories over the past week. On Monday night, they defeated Denver 59-50. Both Carly Duffney and Grace Larkins scored 17 points in the contest to give the Coyotes the edge. Earlier in the week, they claimed a 70-63 win over Omaha. Larkins led the team in points with 24. She also tallied 9 rebounds and 3 assists on the afternoon. A rival Jackrabbit has joined the USD football coaching staff, and it's not Coach Stig. Former SDSU passing game and wide receivers coach Josh Davis joined the Coyotes as their new offensive coordinator. Davis will take over play-calling duties from head coach Bob Nielsen. He helped lead SDSU to an FCS title over North Dakota State just this past month.
The women's tennis team's next match is Saturday against the University of Sioux Falls. Last week, they lost to Drake in a 7-0 sweep. First-year Coyote Sydney Weinberg won 9 games before falling 6-3, 7-6. The Coyotes fall to 0-2 and look to capture their first win of the season against the Cougars. The swimming and diving teams are set to compete Saturday in Omaha. They competed against rival SDSU this past weekend. The women won 11 of 16 events, with Emily Kahn winning the 200 medley and 400 free. The men were on the losing side of the meet, despite Jack Birdall's victories in the 100 and 200 meter breaststroke. They have just 3 more meets until the Summit League Championships. That's it for Coyote Sports.
When we come back, find out what buildings students want to be torn down next. Stay with us.
Hey, do you want to answer a quick question for Coyote News?
Huh? What's the question?
It's about roommates. It'll only take a second.
I don't know.
Come on. All you have to do is talk to me. What's the weirdest thing that you found your roommate doing?
One time I came home from class and she was clipping her toenails on my bed. That was weird and gross.
Hey, look, it's you.
That was weird and gross.
No way.
This is Coyote News.
The nearly century-old Julian and Brookman Hall both saw their end in demolition last semester.
We asked students what buildings they think should be the next to go.
East Hall, it's very historic and it's very cool, but it's very I don't know, a lot of stuff doesn't work in there. It's pretty old and needs to be redone.
Oof. I'd say Olson Hall. Those bathrooms, man, those things are torn down. They need to get some new ones. And the laundry room, too.
Probably Old Main, but only because of the stairs. And it hurts when I walk up there.
Burgess, Norton. It's really old, and I don't like it. I live there, so it's really old.
Old Main again. Take it down again.
Julian and Brookman, I understand that we had some sort of problem with it, but it was still historic, and it looked like it was a really great addition. Now, driving from my home, when I see that entire building torn down, I'm like, the fact that I can see Old Main directly without that block of view, it's weird, but I don't think any other building should get torn down.
I would say anyone's over on the corner realistically, the ones that I haven't gone to, like Akeley per se, because it's kind of an older building and I feel like they can renovate it twice or redo it.
I would do Old Main. It's a classic, love the look, but it's like a Frankenstein of the building. It's just random pieces put together.
I would say none because they're all beautiful.
North Complex. I live there. I love it, but it needs to be torn down because it's really, really old. Really, really old. So please tear it down.
It's North Complex. It's purely personal.
As a guy who likes architecture, I really don't want to tear down any buildings, but if I were to choose, it'd just be maybe the science building because I don't really like science.
Michael, what building would you choose to tear down?
I don't want to step on any toes, but definitely the Dakota Dome. I'll say it. I think it looks great on the inside, but the outside is so meh. Or they could have the art students paint murals and stuff on it. That'd be hype.
I think I'd go with the second option there, Michael. And Carol Baskin, the controversial star of the Netflix documentary Tiger King, is back in the news this week after claiming her husband Don Lewis is alive and well in Costa Rica. Don Lewis disappeared in 1997, later to be declared dead in 2002. Baskin has consistently denied the rumors that she put Lewis's body in a meat grinder and fed it to her tigers. In a response to these claims, Lewis's family, who are very open about their disdain for Baskin, said, "That is simply not true." And that's all for Coyote News.
Pick up this week's Volant issue for a story on an album's new brewery in town.
Listen to 91.1 for news updates throughout the week and for coverage of your USD sports.
Don't forget to follow our social media pages for daily updates and the weekly poll. Have a great night.